Hello and welcome to a new video series. We're here in Automobilista 2, which I'm playing in VR, and we will recreate some classic F1 seasons here in AMS2. Of course we can't race at every track, but those that are in AMS2. We'll start with the 1997 season, and the first race here will be the San Marino Grand Prix. We skipped the Brazilian GP in Interlagos as we only have a very old and the current version of Interlagos in the game currently, and it wouldn't look very authentic to race these cars there. So this here will be our opening race of 8 races in this season. Today we'll be driving as Giancarlo Fisichella in the Jordan, who will be competing in his first full F1 season here, and it starts right with a home race for him. And now, without further ado, let's look at the starting grid. Williams have locked out the front row yesterday with Frentzen starting ahead of Jacques Villeneuve, and then it's a Ferrari second two with Schumacher in third and Irvine in fourth. Then it gets a little more colorful with Alesi, the first non-Williams or Ferrari, in fifth. Ralf Schumacher is sixth, and then we have the grid as follows: Berger, Häkkinen, Coulthard, Panis, Herbert, Barrichello, and then in 13th, Giancarlo Fisichella, which of course will be controlled by us. Nicola Larini then in 14th, Italian row there. 15th, the current world champion Damon Hill in his Arrows. Then there's Shinji Nakano, Jos Verstappen, Trulli, Salo, Pedro Diniz, Jan Magnussen, father of Kevin Magnussen, and the grid is completed by Ukyo Katayama in 22nd. And here we are now on the grid. The 5 red lights are on and it's lights out and away we go. Pretty decent start from us. We already made up 2 spots. We passed Barrichello and Johnny Herbert, I believe, at the start there. Now Olivier Panis is ahead of us in P10. However, we have to be very cautious here into the Tamburello chicane, as well the conditions are quite wet still, even though there is no new rain coming right now, but it has rained earlier, so we have a very wet track. So wet tires for everyone at the start, and yeah, now we are going into Tosa, the hairpin, and let's see what we can do from this position. Now this part of the track is very, very dangerous in these conditions, as you're sliding a lot here. And we're really struggling with our car, and there goes Rubens Barrichello up the inside of Aqua Minerali. This is a daring move by him, but well, actually it paid off, and Johnny Herbert behind us has also tried to make a move. Probably won't work here into the Variante Alta. And now we have to defend going into the Rivazza. Oh, he's trying on the inside. Larini on the outside, but neither of them were able to make a move. 2 Saubers now behind us, trying to put us under pressure. And here we go into the final chicane, which obviously doesn't exist anymore. Onto the pit straight, and that's lap 1 already completed. And well, let's see where we can go from here in P12. And we're jumping straight to the beginning of lap 5 that we're starting just right now. And well, we can see we were able to pull away from the Saubers and are now right on the back of Rubens Barrichello on the main straight here. But the track, as you can see, there is almost no spray anymore. It is drying up pretty quickly, which is to expect with no new rain coming. But that makes it pretty tricky to drive right now. It's probably a little too early for slicks still, but yeah, the grip is really getting worse with these tires, as they are, well, the track is not really wet enough for them anymore. Yeah, and you can see here I'm really struggling with with driving around here, especially Acqua Minerale, which has been a pain for pretty much the entire race. We're losing a lot of time there, but from Variante Alta here onwards we're also gaining a lot of time then. So yeah, it's pretty difficult to make a move into one of the overtaking zones because we're just getting too far away in that part of the track. And now out of the Rivazza we're usually gaining time, not this time though. And again, we're really struggling on our tires. And I believe everyone except us is going to pit now. We will wait for another lap because we want to go straight for slicks. As I said, I think these tires aren't the right choice anymore. And let's see where this will put us. Well, and we're joining us on Variante Alta that same lap, and well, Johnny Herbert, who hasn't stopped either. We're actually the first one on track right now that hasn't stopped. We're in P1 currently, but Johnny Herbert has gained a lot of time in that lap, and yeah, now it's definitely time to go for our pit stop. And well, we're entering the pit lane right now, and it will be very interesting to see where we will come out. Now, this is our pit crew. Let's hope for a good pit stop. They will be putting on the slicks, and we are also taking extra fuel, so we can go to the end. Oh, I think I didn't say it, but yeah, we will be racing 50% race, which means 31 laps here. So this will be our only pit stop, and I was wondering right now, because there was Mika Häkkinen in the pit lane again. He has stopped a lap earlier, and it seems like a lot of drivers have now completed a second pit stop right after the first one. I don't know what went on there. Right now the slicks are pretty cold still, and it's pretty hard to drive with them for the first couple of corners, as we see a Benetton, I believe it is Jean Alesi or Gerhard Berger, I don't know, right at our back, who was trying to get the advantage with his fresher tires, but I believe he's still on intermediate or wet tires, and now we're pulling away from him. So the slicks are definitely the right choice. But I think there have been some strategic blunders going on, as people have not instantly gone for the slicks and are now stopping for a second time right after their first pit stop. So this will be very interesting. And now we're closing up to Olivier Panis in the Prost, who is coming in for his second stop now, and oh, we misjudged that chicane entirely, as everyone ahead of us was going into the pit lane. This is pretty dangerous, as the well, the track offline is still pretty wet, and of course so is the grass outside of the track, so we shouldn't do that too often. But now we are catching up to Jan Magnussen, who hasn't stopped at all until now. And I believe this is Johnny Herbert, who was right behind us at the first, ahead of the first pit stop. Don't know how he got ahead of us. Anyway, we are actually in P3 right now. This is literally for the race lead. And now Nicola Larini, the second Sauber, is coming behind us, as we are, well, stuck behind Jan Magnussen, who is, and it's very hard to overtake in Imola in general, but especially on that part of the track. Evian and Rubens Barrichello sticking it up the inside into Acqua Minerale. Yeah, but I think Magnussen will go away this lap either way, because he will have to stop now to go to change for the slick tires. Yeah, we can see it, he's still on them, as Herbert just made a move, and now out of the Vatsa 2 we make our move as well, and we're released into P2, and now this will be very interesting, as we see Magnussen heading through us into the pit lane. This will be very interesting to see if we can keep up with Johnny Herbert. 2.8 seconds the gap now as we cross the line just after Magnussen pitted. So sticking behind him for 2 more corners cost us almost 3 seconds. But let's see if we can keep up and fight for the lead of this race right now. Of course, the leaders, Villeneuve and Schumacher, will be pretty fast now on the slick tires, so we don't know if this is actually for the race win, but it's for the lead for now. And, well, this is the standings in lap 10 that we're just finishing right now. Villeneuve and Schumacher stuck behind Hill in 4th. We are pulling away from Larini, who is in 3rd, so, yeah, Villeneuve and Schumacher already in the points. But what is much more interesting for us at this moment is that we are very close to Johnny Herbert ahead of us. And now we're getting a great run out of the Tamburello chicane and into the Villeneuve chicane on the outside. But oh, he closes the door on the second part of the chicane. And I think we even made contact. Car feels fine though, so we shouldn't have any damage from that. It was only a slight touch there, but he was aggressively closing the door on us. Of course, it was a daring move, but a lot of risk taken by Johnny Herbert as we were trying to back out there, as this was way too risky. But, well, unfortunately, as I said, this is not the best part of the track for us in our car here. So, yeah, we're losing a lot of time into the circuit's better overtaking zones, which are coming up right now. But into Variante Alta we have made up some time again, so we are pretty close heading into the Rivazzas, and getting a good run out of Rivazza 2 might give us a chance into the final corner of this track. And we get a good run, and we're already alongside. He almost pushes us into the grass, now the inside line for that chicane, but he is later on the brakes and defends his position. What a fight this has been in this lap for the race lead between Johnny Herbert and Giancarlo Fisichella here. And we're getting close, but not close enough to make a move into the Tamburello chicane. But now again, a good run out of here into Villeneuve. This time we're on the inside. And again, Herbert very late on the brakes, and we didn't dare to brake a lot later, because that could have resulted in a terrible crash. And we don't want to throw this brilliant position away too easily. Well, now, later on that lap, coming down to the Rivazzas again. We are pretty close again. Now another good run out of here might give us the next chance. This is our 4th time, and he again pushes us almost onto the grass. This time we are later on the brakes, and we actually make it past. Giancarlo Fisichella takes the lead of the San Marino Grand Prix remarkably in his Jordan. Now, well, we have Fisichella, Herbert and Larini. What a podium for now, but we know that Villeneuve and Schumacher are the fastest cars on track if they have clean air. So we will have to wait and see how this plays out. Well, we're just starting lap 14, and we see that Villeneuve has made it past Nicola Larini. Schumacher still stuck behind him and Damon Hill. And we will have to wait and see how long it takes for Villeneuve to make it past Herbert. Lap 20 now, and Villeneuve is still stuck behind Johnny Herbert, and that means that the chances of us actually winning this race are increasing lap by lap. We only have to do 11 more laps, including this one, and the gap is already 20.3 seconds to Johnny Herbert, and he is still holding up Villeneuve, so it looks very, very good for our first race win here. And we are now in lap 23, and Villeneuve finally made it past Johnny Herbert. Now Schumacher is still stuck behind him. He's right with Herbert at this point, and well, Villeneuve is making up time. The gap is now under 20 seconds, but even if he comes closer to us at this rate, he will not be able to reach us before the race finishes. So it still looks very, very good that we might win the opening race of the season. A sensational result this would be for the Jordan team. A little bit later in this race we are coming up to the first car that we will have to lap. This is Jan Magnussen, of course, who was... oh, we run wide at Tosa just as he does. Again, we are irritated by the car ahead. Of course, Magnussen was the one who was stopping last for the slicks and losing a lot of time on wet weather tires. And at this part of the track, as you can see, it starts to rain again, so we have to be very careful on these last laps of the race, as Magnussen isn't really letting us pass, so we almost have to fight a little bit for it. That was risky. And yeah, you can see here as well, the rain is increasing at this part of the track. From Acqua Minerale into the Rivazzas there is light rain now, so we have to be very cautious here and, well, bear in mind that there is increased danger to slide off the track in these parts of the track. Now, as we're just starting lap 28, this is how it stands right now. Fisichella still ahead of Villeneuve, Schumacher still stuck behind Herbert. 17.5 seconds now the gap to Villeneuve. And the rain is getting heavier here, and we feel that right now as we slide off the track in Rivazza 1, but we make it back to the track. A little bit of a hard stopper there, just as we are starting the penultimate lap right now, so really be careful for the last two laps now. And we're joining us in the final lap. Struggling again in Acqua Minerale. The car is getting wetter as well, as you can see. Now into Variante Alta, running a little bit wide there as well. Heading down to Rivazza 1, this is where we slid off 2 laps ago, and we run a little bit wide again. But we should be fine now. It's only the final chicane that is between us and the race win. Villeneuve still nowhere to be seen. Round the final corner we come, and this is the first race of the season done. Giancarlo Fisichella wins the opening race of the season, his home race here, the San Marino Grand Prix in Imola, 1997. And well, here are the full results. Fisichella ahead of Villeneuve, 14.4 seconds in the end. Schumacher made it past Herbert on the closing laps of this race. Panis also made it past Larini. Hill, unfortunately, out of the points in the end. Well, for the championship standings, this means the same, as this is the first race. So, well, the same standings as the race results were. And now finally, let's look at the Constructors' Championship. Also no too dramatic changes, as the only team that scored with both cars was Sauber, so they are now on 4 points. But they're still behind Ferrari, as they had the higher finishing position with Schumacher in 3rd. And McLaren, well, with their cars in 7th and 8th, without any points. And, well, that is it for this race. The next time we will be heading to Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. And, well, I hope to see you there too. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to this channel if you want to see more. Until the next time, goodbye.